Who's 8 years old here?
I don't think, is
Nick
anybody
was 8.
Oh, all right, so she was the same
Who's
age
8?
as
He
you.
was 8, yeah.
Did you guys ever hear of a kind of a restaurant called an automat?
I have.
You have?
You have not.
Yeah.
I've heard.
Well, an automat is, I don't think there are any anymore, but they used to be pretty popular when Angelina was a little girl. And they had them in big cities. They had them in New York City. And an automat was, you'd go and there was like counters, and then there was little doors in these walls with glass, and you'd put your money in, and there was food behind the door. And then you put a quarter in, or whatever it was, and you get a piece of pie or a sandwich. And you put your quarter in the door would pop open, and you grab your food, and then the door would shut. And then if you kept watching, you'd see somebody just swing the little door around on the inside and put another sandwich out. So anyway, Angelina and her mother went to New York City one day, and they went to do some Christmas shopping. And they went to a great big department store called Macy's. And Angelina liked to go, and sometimes she would go with her friend, but sometimes she would go by herself. And Angelina was allowed to go around the store by herself, and she had a wristwatch, and she could tell time, and she would meet her mother back at a certain time. So Mrs. Goodwin, that's Angelina's mother, said that when they got done with their shopping, before they headed back to Poughkeepsie, they were going to have a special lunch treat. And usually when they went to New York, they went to Nedick's. They had like the all-beef hot dogs. But this time she took her to an automat. And Angelina was roused out of her gourd when she went to the automat, because it's a great big building, and there's all these walls, just, like a whole bunch of sides to the room, and there's these little doors, like I was saying. So Angelina got to pick out what she wanted. She got a chicken salad sandwich, a bag of potato chips, and a Coke soda, and she was thinking about getting some rhubarb pie for dessert. And she got the money from her mother, and she'd go up and she'd put it in there and get her food and come back and sit down. So they're sitting there eating, and they're talking about this and that, and all of a sudden they hear this holler and this yelling, and everybody's screaming, "Help! Help! Get a doctor! Get a doctor!" And they go running up to see what, everybody's piled around, and there's this guy on the floor. I'm going to just do it a little bit, okay? And he's going like this. So what would you do if you saw somebody doing like that? Like that.
His shoulder hurt. Is he paying?
Well, oh no. So here, they thought he was having a fit. So everybody starts to try to help, and first thing they did was they grabbed him and they said, hold him down, hold his legs down so he doesn't kick anybody. So some big fat guy sat on his legs, and then they said, hold his hands so he doesn't hit anybody. And so two other people sat on his arms, and then the guy was like, and they said, no, stick a spoon in his mouth so he doesn't bite off his tongue. So they grabbed the spoon and they stuck it down there, and the guy's he's getting all red in the face. So finally a doctor came, and he says, all right, everybody, calm down, calm down. And he's like, he takes the spoon out, and the guy's like practically unconscious from all these people sitting on him, and they're accidentally kicking him and sticking stuff down his throat, and he's all sweaty. And so he said, well, what's the matter? He said, it's my shoulder. My shoulder. And he said, well, what's the matter with your shoulder? He said, it pops out of joint. He said, can't you help me? So they get him on the floor, and the guy said, just everybody, get away from me. So he gets away, everybody gets him, and he says, I'm fine. And he gets up, and he gets like this, and he goes, ah! Like that, and he pops it back into the joint. So everybody's like, they all wanted to help him. Angelina and her mother, they didn't know what to do. But the guy, they realized what had happened. They thought he was having an epileptic seizure. But he was actually, his shoulder came out of joint. What happened is, he would have to fall on the floor to pop it back in. And he said when it goes out, it hurts so bad. He said you got to put it back in right away. He was reaching to get a sandwich, and it just popped out. So without even thinking about it, it just pops on the floor and tries to push it back in. So the police were there, and the doctor was there, but the guy got everybody calmed down. And he said, well, I just want to thank all you good people for helping me, he said, and if you hadn't been here, he said, none of this would have ever happened. And so Angelina and her mother had quite an adventure. And they went back to Poughkeepsie, New York. And this was a Saturday, so Angelina's dad was out bowling with his buddies. And took Skippy out before he left. But they got home kind of late. When Skippy heard the car pull in the driveway, he started in. And he got so excited when they came to the door, guess what he did?
Peanut butter.
Peed on the rug. The end.